What do you call a cool scorpion? A rad scorpion. Well, everybody, I've done it. I have binge watched the entirety of the first season of the new Fallout TV series, and I've got a lot of opinions on it, but I would summarize it, if you're short on time, as excellent. I had a lot of reservations going into the show. I was very cautiously optimistic, but I thought there's a lot of pitfalls and things that they could fall into. But I will say that they expertly handled those concerns and made a great TV series and universe that I hope that they continue to expand upon. And they will, because they've already confirmed a second season. So let's break it down. And you guys probably shared some of those fears. This is the first time the Fallout universe has been adapted to a main series TV series. And the last foray into the Fallout universe was Fallout 4, which, yes, did some pretty cool things, but it really did not rope us all in with its story. It was really its interesting gameplay mechanics that brought a lot of players in. So when that's the last story that you've told in the Fallout universe, to adapt something into a TV series, you're really going to have to pull out all the strings. And I'll say that they did it excellently. Because my fear is that we would just get to see the perspective of a vault dweller. And because of that, yes, we could see some unique experiences. In the trailer, you see them in the vault, out of the vault. Obviously, that could lead to some interesting story plot points, and it certainly does. But that is a very limited perspective. If you've ever played Fallout, you can do all sorts of choices, make all sorts of crazy things happen, and because they actually don't just use that one character, they use a multitude of characters, and that's how they can really show off their amazing storyline and storytelling. Minor spoilers, I'm just going to tell you kind of who the main characters are background-wise, not necessarily what their plot points are or what happens to them, just to give you an idea of like how this can build intrigue into a good show, because in my opinion it does. I don't obviously want to spoil anything for you. So the first character, main character, Vault Dweller. Obviously, if you played any Fallout game, it goes exactly how you kind of predict it would, and it feels very Fallout storyline-esque in the Vault Dweller storyline. Then we have a Brotherhood of Steel member, an initiate, and you get to see their perspective being a Brotherhood of Steel initiate, how kind of they go with the Brotherhood. Then we have a ghoul who actually was married to a Vault Tech executive. So a really interesting plot point, because this takes place 200 plus years in the future. He's still alive. And he's trying to kind of put the pieces together about some different things in his background. You get to see some flashbacks of him interacting with his wife, who was a Vault Tech executive. So that was a really interesting plot point as well. The final main person that kind of kicks off the story that you kind of see bits and pieces of in the trailer is an Enclave scientist. So you really get all of the major factions from the Fallout universe inside of this storyline. And you've got references, and you see individuals from the New California Republic. You get to see people, obviously, from vaults. You get to see people from differing settlements nearby. It feels like you're almost, role-playing in a Fallout universe, but instead you're almost just watching a playthrough. And let's break that down. Throughout the actual TV series itself, it feels like you're almost watching a video game adaptation done right. And what I mean by that is there are moments where you really feel like these are RPG decisions, like RPG kind of funny moments, goofy shenanigans are occurring, just random encounters out in the world, that characters are running into. The fact that they're, running into different MacGuffins and constantly running into point of interests, it feels very well done. Even that you'll notice that the music changes from very happy-go-lucky to when they go inside buildings to explore, it kind of gets more eerie and dark. Kind of like when you're going and you're exploring in the open world in these RPGs, you were kind of like excited in the overworld, you're listening to music and whatnot, you get your Pip-Boy out, you're just having a high old time. And then, though, when you go into some of these enclosed buildings, or you kind of go near some enemies, the music starts to change, the tone starts to change, and you can actually see that in the TV series and how they've adapted that into the show itself. And in addition to that, it still maintains that whimsical Fallout theme. I was worried that it would either become too serious or too over-the-top goofy. And when I tell you it strikes that balance, it strikes that balance. And if you've already watched the first episode, that kind of theme continues throughout the rest of the episodes, where it could just be over-the-top goofy, over-the-top action-packed, over-the-top, just weird situations that characters will find themselves in just because that is the Fallout way. You're going to find, those random encounters like we mentioned before. You're going to have weird dialogue options, and it feels like characters are actually making dialogue options, like they're stopping to think, what is the best way to handle this situation? And each one of them will handle it in a different way. And because of that, I think that this is really goes to show how you can adapt a TV series well. And to hit upon the characters of this series, they do phenomenally well. I think that Hollywood is actually decent at making brand new characters. If you look at shows like The Mandalorian versus Boba Fett, or even versus Obi-Wan, I care significantly more for characters like The Mandalorian themselves. Even look at Rogue One versus The Last Jedi. It's an example of a TV series that can adapt a brand new character, make us care about him, and interact in the world that we've never seen before, and they can give them a character arc that suits them. Sometimes I think that modern day writers struggle to adapt old characters that have existed for decades. Look at even the shows like The Rings of Power. They really struggle to adapt the characters there that have existed for so long, because it can be hard to take a character with so much lore behind them and then adapt them, with a brand new character arc into a TV series that takes place in a differing time period for them. That's why I think that Fallout took the perfect approach by making almost universally brand new characters. You will see people that you recognize, but they don't do anything that feels out of character for them. And that's what I think just goes to extra into the world building. And let us wrap up with our quick pros and cons, what I loved about the series and what I thought was a little bit unnecessary or perhaps could be improved on in the second season, which is confirmed. Everything that was amazing. To give you a quick list, we start off with the plot. The plot is amazing. It's a Fallout plot. It feels more like a Fallout plot line than Fallout 4 is. I almost would beg to say that it feels more like a Fallout plot line than even Fallout New Vegas. And New Vegas was a very iconic storyline. And when you've seen how the story goes from start to finish, you will think to yourself, this is a Fallout storyline. This is how if this was Fallout 5, you couldn't tell me any differently. They could just copy and paste this story and it would fit perfectly into the universe. It also goes into pacing. The pacing of this series was very well done, from eerie moments to goofy, whimsical moments to serious moments to action-packed set pieces. They don't keep the tone set for too long to where it feels unwelcome. They use music and other set pieces to really change the tone, and I think it is done phenomenally well in that way. The characters. I absolutely fell in love with every single character. I could definitely see some people leaning towards liking one storyline over another. You definitely pinball between characters in some fashions in some episodes more than others. And I could see people liking or disliking that, especially if they have a character that they really want to see their storyline more so of, because obviously their interactions in the world are going to be different, what they're seeing, what they're doing. But overall, because I loved all the characters, I loved to kind of pinball between them and see what one was doing, especially when they started to interact with each other. That was really well done. And the dialogue. The dialogue here felt very Fallout-esque. And there are moments, if you listen to my review and you think about this as you watch the series, think about when characters are taking that deep moment to kind of think about doing something in a big moment. It really feels like they're making like a QTE, QuickTime event decision, snapshot in that moment. It feels very RPG-esque, but in a way that does not override that this is a TV show. Like, you're still sucked into a TV show and you're not being pulled out going, oh, look at this. This is just, a video game. And that's what I think it does well. It adapts the source material, but it doesn't just rely on member berries. It doesn't just rely on homages and things. It really builds into the universe exceptionally well and adapts it in a way that's not insulting to fans, but also builds intrigue, but it doesn't diminish any of the pre-existing lore in a way that could feel insulting. It builds upon the lore, it builds upon the story, and I think it's going to even continue into Season 2. Like, we're going to get a lot better look at some of these factions and things that we didn't get to see as much in the Fallout main storylines, just because of what we were able to see as a Vault Dweller and, 3, 4, and New Vegas. And to hit upon some quick cons and things that I think could be improved in the overall next seasons, I would note that sometimes the show is very direct in its storytelling. There's really no room for interpretation during some conversations. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's very much, this is the answer. This is this. This is why this is happening. There's no real room for intrigue in some scenes that I think really could have been more vague, and they were just very clear. This is this. And I was a bit off-put by that in some scenes, but overall, I think, again, the storyline was excellent. Some of the dialogue did feel a bit weird, but it also did feel fitting to a Fallout universe. Sometimes I would say, depending on your flavor for how you like dialogue in TV series, you might feel pulled out by it. But overall, I think that I enjoyed it. But for the first foray into the Fallout universe, I have to give this a 10 out of 10. It has made me re-download Fallout 76. I re-downloaded Fallout Vault Shelter, whatever it's called, because I was like, man, it left me wanting more in the Fallout universe. To me, that is what a TV series should do. It should expand the universe to the point where you want to see more of it, where you want to just have more storylines. You want season 2, but also you might want to go back and play some of those old Fallout games. So that's where I will leave you, dear friends. To me, it's a 10 out of 10, a perfect start to the Fallout universe. I hope that they can keep up this momentum into season 2. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jake Clips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.